news. We were talking about Dark Souls 3, and we were talking about how we live in a post-Dark Souls 3 world. Ashes of Arendelle came out late last year. A lot of people thought it was, a little undercooked and wasn't as deep of a piece of DLC they're expecting from the guys over at From Software. But we have a new announcement. Coming by way of Forbes.com, Eric Kane writes, New Dark Souls 3 The Ringed City DLC announced. The Ringed City is the second expansion for Dark Souls 3.
Wait a minute. Do they mean like New England, where the Patriots are?
Oh, God. I don't know. We'll figure out if you can cheat in the city at all. So this DLC is going to be launching March 28th on PS4, Xbox One, and Steam. It'll be sold individually or part of the $24.99 season pass, which he goes on to state how people weren't too high on Ashes of Arendelle. I know you played Dark Souls 3 and you beat it. Did you play the first DLC, or were you just waiting for enough content to justify you going back to that game?
Yeah, I'm just waiting. I never did play that first DLC. I'll probably wait all the way until they put it together in a GOTY edition type thing, so I can rebuy it on PS4. So I have an excuse to do that.
True, that's right. Because you played through it initially on PC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The trailer looks really cool. I think this is from what we've heard from is that this is going to be essentially the last piece of Dark Souls that we'll have for a long while. So people expect it to be substantial. Hopefully it is. And we'll see how it is, because people love their lore in Dark Souls, and hopefully this gives a lot of vague answers to questions people have. So we'll see. Next up on the docket for news, we have a couple of stories of Kickstarters that went up in the last week. One doing really well and one not doing so well. So we'll start off with the ones that are not doing so well. There's a Kickstarter for Francis Ford Coppola's movie Apocalypse Now. They want to turn it into a video game. They're asking for $900,000. He's assembled a team. I believe they're called Erebus, something like that. Pretty sure it's Erebus. It includes people who've worked on Fallout New Vegas, Wasteland 2, Far Cry, and a bunch of other RPGs. Like I said, they're looking to raise $900,000. They have 28 days to go, and they're sitting at $76,000, which isn't looking too hot. It isn't looking like this game is going to get enough traction, but who knows? Kickstarters can jump out like crazy. You're familiar with Apocalypse Now, Dom. You've never seen it. Do you think this is a case of like this property isn't as big as the director and the people surrounded in this think it is, and they're going to have a quick slap in the face?
So my lack of knowledge on this is actually a great answer to your question, because I've heard of this.
Yeah.
Never seen it, but I don't really know anything about it. I assume that there's some kind of apocalypse going on.
It's basically a psychedelic acid trip into like the Vietnam War era. From what I remember, there's essentially Martin Sheen's character is looking for a highly trained soldier in the jungle. I believe it's played by Marlon Brando. And the big thing there is that Marlon Brando was actually supposed to show up 60 pounds underweight from what he showed up on set as, because he's supposed to be this highly trained soldier, and he showed up a little bit overweight, a little pudgy, and the director was not very happy about that. And in the movie, he's not the skinniest guy. He's not huge or anything, but he's not what they wanted him to be. So there's reports of like actors taking drugs during the filming or having weird trips and like not being in the best of health. And the movie's renowned for just being a very stylized thing, when that wasn't a real thing in the film industry. Think of like Full Metal Jacket on acid, if you've ever seen Full Metal Jacket. One of my biggest problems with their Kickstarter, I don't want to harp on them too long, is that they have stretch goals. And I believe that the best Kickstarters are the ones that have their initial goal set up. Once they hit their funding, then they post their stretch goals. I always find it weird when they have stretch goals before they've even hit their funding. What do you feel about that, Dom? Do you think it's a little weird?
Yeah, I'm with you, because the stretch goals are... This is initially just planned for PC, and then the stretch goals are, we can port it to PS4 and Xbox One, which seems kind of... Why don't you make it on PC first? Why don't you see if that's even possible?
Yep.
Hit that goal. Yeah, and then, like you're saying, and then post some stretch goals and see what you can do. But there's got to be at least the initial demand there.
Well, yeah, and I think that you allow people to get more surprised and intrigued, and it allows for better marketing too. So if you initially hit your goal, then there can be more news stories coming out like, hey, Apocalypse Now has stretch goals now. They're trying to get it to console. It's a bigger story for you and you get better press, right? Mm-hmm. It just seems weird to put how does that saying go? I I don't know, put the whatever in front of the horse, or the cart in front of the
Carriage,
horse.
carriage in front of the horse.
There you go. Yeah. So
Wait,
it's kind of weird.
horse
Cart
in front of the
horse?
carriage. Never
Well,
mind.
that would be
Let's
right
move
though.
on.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, the second Kickstarter we want to talk about is Banner Saga 3. I've currently been playing through the first Banner Saga. I own both of them. Great game, super beautiful art style, really interesting story. If you're interested in like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings or anything fantasy at all, high fantasy or not, definitely check out these games. Anyways, they have a Kickstarter, Stoic Games does, for Banner Saga 3. They've said from the get-go that this was going to be a trilogy. They had a while there where they were in a legal battle with the guys who made Candy Crush Saga because they felt that they were impeding the brand of Saga or something. Really weird lawsuit thing that was happening. Yeah, so their Kickstarter is actually doing really well. It has 40 days to go. It's currently at 151,000 out of 200,000. Really strong numbers out of the gate. For those of you who aren't familiar with the way Kickstarter works, usually projects get their largest amount of funding in the first 4 days and the last 4 days, give or take. That whole middle area is usually very slow, but there's the big ramp at the beginning and the big finish, and it's cool to see somebody so close to their initial goal. I've gone through the Kickstarter, and from what I saw, they don't even have any stretch goals listed yet, which is awesome. They do a very good job of explaining what they've done in the past and why they're proven. I'm interested. I really want this game to be funded. It looks like it's going to be a lot of people love Banner Saga. This is the end of their saga. The best thing about this is I think once the trilogy's done, they can make a really strong marketing push for buying the game as a trilogy, the Banner Saga trilogy or something like that, you know, and get in the hands of a lot more people. I think this is a game not enough people have played. I think like the care and effort that's put into this game isn't matched by a lot of studios out there, much less somebody their size. And they're completely passion driven, you know. They've had 2 games that have gotten critical success, and who knows if they've actually had talks with companies of striking publishing deals and stuff like that, but they're still going to Kickstarter. So I think they're just a group that relies on their passion for their project, and they want to see something through. So I'm excited. Have you ever had any inclination of playing the Banner Saga, Dom?
I'm one of those people that you said needs to play this.
Yeah, I really think you would like it. You got into Fire Emblem this year. I think from what I've seen and what I've heard from you is you're not the biggest tactics RPG guy, but you kind of have a likeness to them, like you enjoy them. So the art style is beautifulness. I know you like fantasy. I really think you would like this game. So if you ever, it's going to be on a sale. That's how I got it for Xbox One. Next time you see it on a sale, pull the trigger and get this game. Because now you more likely have a third one coming out. So I really like when people stick to their guns and they finish a project. These guys are from Austin, Texas too, which is really cool. A studio that's actually not too far away from me, less than a state over. So the really cool thing also they're doing with their Kickstarter is whatever tier you decide to back at, for $20 more, you'll get both of the first games as well, which is really cool. So if you just want the minimum, which I think is like $25, and you get the game no matter what, plus a couple other perks, if you bump that to $45, you automatically get the other 2 games too. So you're getting a deal on the first 2 games as well. So it's a really cool way to pack in backers and give them a reward, right? So I think these are 2 examples here. I wouldn't mind the Apocalypse Now game being made, but these are definitely 2 examples of somebody who understands Kickstarter and understands their audience and how to run a Kickstarter, and somebody who's new to it and maybe holds their brand and IP to a higher standard than what the consumer does. So we'll see how both of those play out. We'll give you guys an update when they're both finished and see how they did. The next story here. One of my favorite, if not close to being my favorite developer, Playdead, released a teaser image. Their new game is going to take place involving an astronaut of some sort. They basically tweeted out this image and they said, "Thanks for your warm reception of Inside. Since release, Playdead founder Art Jensen and the team have been working on the next adventure." This looks really cool. We've both seen this image. The first game, Limbo, that they made was completely black and white for the most part, very eerie. I think Inside was them hitting their stride even better. There was more colors to it. It was obviously a lot of muted tones. There was a lot more animation. It felt a little bit more well crafted. Limbo was a great game, but I think Inside definitely was a master class in design. If anything, Dom, we can assume that you're a kid having to deal with some kind of crazy world around you, right? If their first two games are any indication. There's an object flying to whatever he's standing on, if it's Earth or if it's a planet. Do you think that's a comet or do you think that's a crashing spaceship?
I'm gonna go with spaceship.
You think it's a spaceship?
I think we're gonna have some extraterrestrial shit going on.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
the first game, and this is without spoiling either of the games, the first game, Limbo, had to do with that state of limbo, of not being in heaven and hell, are you dead, are you not, kind of thing. Inside, one of the major tones of Inside is control, and your life and what's going on. And they're very loose as far as narrative, but they do have strong tones they want to hit with the player. So I'm interested to see. A lot of people are speculating this is going to be a game about loneliness and coming to terms with that and stuff like that. So really intrigued. I hope it's a good game. I don't want to guarantee it is because you never know, but Playdead, I'm excited. Hopefully this game doesn't take 6 years, but if it does, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Are you haven't played Limbo, right? And I don't think you've played
Nope.
Inside either.
No, neither.
Would this game intrigue you? Would you want to play this game?
I still am intrigued by Inside. I still want to play that sometime.
It's a really short game too.
Yeah.
It's on PS4 too, so if that's ever on the sale, you can probably remote play that. I don't know. It's a great game.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
recommend it to anybody. My game of the year last year. So, next story here. The Prey release date was confirmed by a new gameplay trailer. This came out of nowhere. It was a surprise to all of us.
Yeah.
I think going into this year, Jordan, Dom, and I can all say that this is one of our most anticipated games. It's at least in the top 5 for all of us. Prey looked amazing. It looks really cool. It looks like the best parts of BioShock and Dishonored, which you can't go wrong there. May 5th. May 5th, Dom. How about that date? That's crazy, right?
Surprise.
It's a surprise. It's way earlier than I think a lot of people anticipated.
It feels like we just found out that it existed.
Yeah, I love this though because I'm still in the mode where I'm excited for Prey, and I'm not like, is that it? Can I get a release date yet? And I think it's hitting its peak of like, we don't know a lot about this game really. If you sit down and think about it, we know you're this guy that had experiments done on him, and you can turn into objects, and there's this weird alien presence. But outside of that, we haven't had trailer over trailer over trailer, right? We haven't had E3 after E3. It's kind of like punch us in the face, and then we're finally going to see what it's all about. I'm excited. I think we're going to be. I don't know. Is this a day one purchase for you?
So that's what I wanted to jump at because I want it to be, but let's look at how the year is shaping up right now.
Yeah, true.
Resident Evil 7 just dropped. We got Horizon coming out in about a month right now. Horizon Zero
Yep.
Dawn.
Mass
Couple
Effect
days after that,
Andromeda.
couple days after that, Zelda Breath of the Wild,
true.
and
Yep.
then only like 2 or 3 weeks after that, Mass Effect Andromeda, and that's March 21st, I believe.
And we're only talking about confirmed release dates. There's plenty we don't know
Right.
about the second half of the year. Yeah.
And now we got Prey for May, early May, and then in the fall, hopefully we get. I'm less confident than everyone else, but we'll have Red Dead 2, and then
Destiny 2 is a big rumor.
Destiny 2. I think the rumor is that it's going to be this year too. Then we got probably Assassin's Creed Egypt, which normally wouldn't be too big a deal, but since it took a year off, I'm sure that'll be a big thing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we got Battlefront 2. That's supposed to be this fall, I believe. Which I'm super pumped for. And then whatever Call of Duty is doing, I'm hoping it's a World War II thing. There's a lot, and that's just off the top of my head, like the big time releases. So that's like a ton going on this year. So I'm gonna have to be strategic about what I want to buy. Not only because I can't pay for all that, but because I don't have near enough time for all that. Even though I wish I could play everything I just listed off. But the only for sure's for me right now are Zelda, and that's about it, really.
Well,
But
see, the reason Prey is such a big thing to me and why it's more than likely a day one purchase for me is just because, like, I'm not huge into Dishonored. I didn't play Dishonored 2. I'm not into that. but like I love almost everything Bethesda does. Like, they published Doom, which is one of my favorite games of last year. Fallout 4, great. Wolfenstein, great. So like I'm super excited for Prey. I like what they're doing. I like anything sci-fi. Like you make a sci-fi game, I'm in. I mean, my favorite game franchise is Mass Effect. So like I'm just right there. Mass Effect and Prey. Those are two sci-fi games for me this year that I'm super stoked about. So I'm super high on Prey. It might not be a day one release for me, but it definitely is a game I'm going to be playing this year for sure, guaranteed. I just like the whole makeup of that game. It gives me Dead Space vibes. Like I said, it gives me Bioshock vibes, and those are two of my favorite franchises. So I'm super stoked. I'm just glad that they put it in an area where it can succeed instead of packing it into a fall where it could potentially die and just not be talked about. This is kind of around that Doom release date. I believe Doom came out in June, so it's a. Sorry, go ahead.
You know what I forgot to mention was South Park.
Oh yeah, South Park 2, which we don't even know if it's coming out this year. It got delayed to the beginning of this year. Still haven't heard about it. Could possibly be a fall game next year. Like that's in limbo too. So we have no idea. Plus, if any of those PlayStation exclusives decide to get a release date anytime soon,
I would think at least one of them would, but who the hell knows?
We'll see. Yeah. Anyways,